Good afternoon. Welcome to McLib's Live, McCracken County Public Library's virtual programming. Today we welcome our guest, Catherine Fuller with Kentucky Legal Aid. Catherine is one of our popular library programmers that we have for guests, and today she is here discussing legal aid for your legal needs during COVID-19. Catherine has been a staff attorney for over 15 years with Kentucky Legal Aid, and today she will share her wisdom. We're glad to have you today with us, Catherine. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Well, I know it's a difficult time right now with COVID-19 and the virus, but hopefully this presentation will answer some of your questions on how this virus is affecting the court system, your court case, and your legal issues. Okay, so basically the Kentucky courts in COVID-19, on March 6th of this year, as we all know, Governor Beshear declared a state of emergency for Kentucky because of the coronavirus or COVID-19. Following that, the Kentucky Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the state of Kentucky, has suspended all in-person court hearings for the entire state from March 16th through May 31st. And that is the current order now. So it may be extended even further, but as it stands right now, the Kentucky courts are set to open on Monday, June 1st. The judicial buildings across the state are closed to the public. And currently the courts are still hearing some type of matters, only emergency proceedings and time-sensitive matters, and those are held through Skype and Zoom. So basically, attorneys, clients, and other members of the public are not currently allowed in the judicial buildings. But that doesn't mean that the courts and the clerks are not working. They are still there. Attorneys are still filing documents. We just can't obtain hearings until after the court system opens. Now, court hearings in COVID-19, these are some things that the courts are hearing right now, virtually, of course. That would be time-sensitive matters, including initial domestic violence cases, and child dependency, neglect, and abuse cases. I had my third virtual domestic violence case actually yesterday, and it's very difficult to have it through Skype with admitting exhibits and having pictures. I had to hold up pictures and put it up to the camera and then file that with the clerk. So there are some court matters going on, but it's very limited right now. The big question that I've received from my clients and other parents out there is visitation and time sharing questions. And unfortunately, those disputes, if there is a dispute with visitation and time sharing, is not considered an emergency situation for the court to hear. Now, that doesn't mean that you should sit idly and do nothing. Always contact your attorney, contact legal aid, and we can file matters to get that heard when the courts do reopen. Other cases that the court is hearing under the COVID-19 restrictions are criminal cases for inmates that are in custody, and also certain matters that are by agreement of the party. If both parties want to do a Skype or virtual hearing, sometimes the judges will do that to prevent the floodgates from opening up when the court finally does open its doors. Most attorneys want to wait and do the in-person hearing just for convenience and effectability. And there's our COVID-19 little germ there. We've seen that quite a bit. Now, custody orders in COVID-19, the Kentucky Supreme Court has issued its 2020-14 court order on March 27th. To clarify things with parents and custodians. Now, you have a valid court order for visitation and time sharing. That order remains in full force and effect unless there has been a parent or a person of that household that has tested positive for COVID-19 or been exposed to the virus. Now, the Supreme Court has said if that has happened, then there's a 14-day suspension of that time sharing or visitation. And that time sharing, it's recommended that it would be made up after the quarantine is done for the parent that is missing the visitation. And as always, parents and custodians are encouraged to work together to do what's best for the child. I'm seeing a lot of issues with out-of-state visitation. The governor has put in an order limiting out-of-state visitation, or not visitation, I'm sorry, but out-of-state travel. And if someone travels out of state, then they're quarantined for those 14 days. Now, that restriction does not apply to a valid court order. If a parent has a court order that says that the child can come out of state for the visitation, then the parent should work together to address that, either to make time up at a later time or to comply with the visitation order. If you have questions concerning your specific custody order or visitation, I would recommend, again, to contact a private attorney or to contact Kentucky Legal Aid. We are all still working, although our offices are closed to the public at this time. We are still answering the phone and working hard to protect your legal rights and your legal needs. We are doing virtual and telephonic appointments to help address your legal needs during this unprecedented time. Unemployment benefits, that has been a big button that we have seen with the stay-at-home order and so many people losing their jobs across Kentucky and really across the nation. Unemployment benefits have been greatly expanded. With that expansion comes a few headaches, unfortunately. The volume of the call line and applicants is so enormous that the governor has just hired over 1,000 people to help with that backlog. I've heard people that have received benefits, and I've also heard people that are still waiting for benefits 5 or 6 weeks from the date of application. So hopefully with those new workers, money will be there for people that need it. Also, that has been expanded with the unemployment benefits is an additional $600 per week on top of your normal employment benefits. And that is something that the federal government has put in place to help people in this time of need. And that extra $600 a week is valid until July 31st. So that's a good incentive to apply for benefits and get that extra money to help people in a time of need. Also, the 7-day waiting period has been waived. Normally with unemployment benefits, you have that period that you have to wait before you apply, but that has been waived in addition to the work search requirement. So that is a good thing. It's hard to search for work right now with the stay-at-home order, so that has been waived. Also, you can receive additional time with unemployment benefits. Typically, you receive benefits for about 26 weeks. Now you can receive it for up to 39 weeks for eligibility purposes. And you can apply online. I have listed the website there on my PowerPoint slide, and also a number to call for your application. If you are denied or you have additional questions about unemployment benefits, feel free to contact Kentucky Legal Aid. We can assist you with advising you on your unemployment benefits and possible denial if that's something that you receive. Another hot button topic is the stimulus payment. In March of this year, the federal government passed the CARES Act, and that stands for the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. I think it was around March 27th of this year that was passed. And the act provides, among a whole host of other assistance, a stimulus payment of $1,200 for qualifying adults and a $500 payment per dependent child. To be a qualifying adult, you must be a U.S. citizen, a permanent resident, or a qualifying resident alien. You cannot be claimed as a dependent. You have a Social Security number, and you have an adjusted gross income below an amount based on your filing status and number for your qualifying children. For a household of one, it's $75,000 for your adjusted gross income, and that is phased out. The $1,200 is reduced by every amount that you're over that $75,000. So I would suggest, if you have a question concerning eligibility, you can visit irs.gov or contact legal aid, and we can help advise you concerning that. The payments have already begun distribution and will continue throughout the month of May to qualifying adults. More on the stimulus payment. SSI and Social Security recipients should receive their economic stimulus payments in early May, so that is right around the corner. And this payment will not be considered a resource or income for at least 12 months from the receipt. Now, with SSI, it is an income needs-based assistance program, and whenever a recipient receives money, that can be accounted against their eligibility. So fortunately, that $1,200 will not count as income or a resource for at least 12 months once they receive it. Now, an SSI recipient and also Social Security beneficiary, if they have qualifying children, you know, they normally do not file tax returns, and that's what the government is using as far as determining who's a dependent child. And so if they're not filing a tax return, the government's not going to know that they have this qualifying child and that you're eligible for this $500 payment. So it's very important to do as soon as possible to go to irs.gov and click on the non-filers portion, and there's a button there that says non-filers, enter payment info here. And you would put the information there on your dependent child to receive your $500 stimulus payment for that child. If you do not do that and you receive your $1,200 stimulus payment, then you have to wait until you file taxes in 2021 to receive that benefit. And I know that has not been publicized very much, so I want to emphasize the importance of doing that as soon as possible, because I know every dollar helps, especially with the coronavirus and the issues with employment. Another issue that we have seen with the stimulus payment is if it is put in the bank by a direct deposit and you have what's called a non-wage garnishment on that bank account because of a monetary judgment, then there's ways to stop that and try to fight to keep you from taking all of that $1,200 payment. No, the $1,200 payment is there to help you in this time of need and not necessarily there to repay your creditors. So if you have that attached on your bank account, please give us a call or a private attorney to help you address that before the money is seized. COVID-19 and evictions. You know, this has been a big factor in the CARES Act and also with the COVID-19. You know, eviction is not a fun thing. Losing your home, having to move all of your property, and having that instability is a very traumatizing thing. So what COVID-19 and the CARES Act has done is it's put a moratorium on evictions. Basically, it stopped evictions. So all evictions are suspended during this time, and also for a specific period thereafter. Once the state of emergency in Kentucky ends, if you are in public or subsidized housing, they cannot pursue eviction against you for up to 120 days after the end of the emergency. So that is good news for renters out there that are facing eviction. And if you have a private landlord, I would suggest that you contact us to get the specific time period after the state of emergency is lifted. Landlords are prohibited from what's called constructive eviction. They're prohibited on constructive eviction all of the time, not specifically during this COVID-19, but all of the time. Your landlord cannot turn off your utilities and change the locks to force the eviction. This is something that is illegal and can be fought in court and won if they try to do this. They cannot turn off your water in an effort to get you to leave the house without proper court action. And normally, unless your lease states otherwise, a landlord must provide a written 30-day notice to vacate the proceeding before you are required to move. The landlord may not evict you without a court order. Unfortunately, rent continues to accrue during this time period. Just because they can't evict you doesn't mean that you're out of the obligation of paying rent. You're still living there, so you're still obligated to pay. So once the state of emergency ends, then the collection begins of the rent. So just be aware of that the rent continues to accrue. COVID-19 and utilities. Many utility providers have been ordered to stop disconnections for non-payment and waive assessment of late fees. With so many people losing their job and a reduction of income, the utility companies have realized that, and it has been recommended to them to stop the disconnection, at least during this state of emergency. Many local utility providers also voluntarily agreed to temporarily suspend disconnections. So that's a good thing also. Once the temporary suspension period ends, you will still have to pay for your utility services. So you use the utility, you will still have to pay for it. So just be aware of that. Now, when the payment becomes due, if you are still struggling,
to force you out of your home. COVID-19 and homeowners. If you are a homeowner with a federally backed mortgage, such as Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, and have a financial hardship, you can request a forbearance, which is basically a suspension of your mortgage payment for up to 180 days. These payments are not forgiven and at some point must be made up under the mortgage. They can either do a lump sum payment at the end of the mortgage, or they can set up a payment plan to pay a little every month once you are back to work and financially stable. Again, you must ask for this forbearance or suspension of the mortgage payment. It's not automatic. So definitely call your mortgage company. They can let you know if it's federally backed and if you qualify for this forbearance. Just don't sit and wait and not make your mortgage payment, because then you can be delinquent and that can affect your credit. So definitely be proactive. Call the mortgage company and request the forbearance during this difficult time. COVID-19 and employee rights. The CARES Act provides paid sick leave and an expanded family and medical leave from April 1st all the way through the end of the year for employees that work for an employer with fewer than 500 employees. Basically, if you have COVID-19 symptoms or you've been diagnosed, normally that goes with a 14-day quarantine. So the CARES Act has said, hey, this is an unprecedented time. People cannot go 14 days without any type of compensation. So this provides a paid sick leave for that quarantine period for up to 2 weeks, 80 hours for full-time employees. That provides that assistance. Now, it also provides paid family and medical leave at a 2/3 rate for individuals caring for their child or children when school or daycares are closed. Now, I have 3 children now. The daycares are closed and the schools are closed. And it's very difficult for someone working full-time, trying to homeschool the children and just basically surviving. So Congress has set in there with the CARES Act to provide that relief with paid sick time. If you have an issue with this, if your employer says, no, you're not entitled to this, we're not giving you this, call us, call Kentucky Legal Aid, and also report it to the United States Department of Labor, Wage, and Hour Division. They handle complaints and also investigations for violation of this protection. COVID-19 and public benefits, that has also been expanded. Medicaid, the Medicaid application, which is normally pages upon pages long, has been shortened and the process has been streamlined. There's presumptive eligibility that someone that applies is eligible for Medicaid up and through June 30th. So apply now. You can apply online or you can call and start the application. And I have listed that number on the PowerPoint slide. If you have lost insurance from your employer, you may also qualify for a special enrollment period to purchase insurance on the exchange. And I've listed that website there also. You definitely do not want to be without health insurance during this time. You know, with everything that's going on as far as health, safety, you definitely want coverage. And since Medicaid has been expanded, go ahead and apply up until June 30th and you should qualify. You know, that's been a great benefit to our clients and really anyone that does not have health insurance coverage at this time. Other public benefits that have been expanded are SNAP, which is also called food stamps, the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, Medicaid, KTAP, and other state supplemental benefits. If you are up for eligibility renewal, then that has been extended for 3 months. So you do not have to worry about submitting documents, going to the local office because they're closed, or really worrying about eating, going to the doctor, receiving your monetary assistance. That's been extended for 3 months. And it may be extended longer. That's more to come, but right now there's a 3-month extension on eligibility. If you believe that you are now eligible for SNAP or KTAP benefits because you've lost a job or you've lost some income, definitely apply. The worst thing that they could do is say no, but you may be entitled to receive some type of benefit. And I know every dollar helps now, especially when it comes to food and monetary resources. There's another number there for you to call. And also there's an online application. I would advise you to call and start the process as soon as possible. COVID-19 and Social Security. You know, currently the Social Security offices are closed to in-person services also. However, they continue to work behind the scenes. If you're receiving Social Security benefits, they will continue and will not be interrupted by COVID-19. That's been a big sigh of relief to the majority of my clients with everything going on. They've panicked. They thought, oh, the government's doing all of this. I'm not going to receive my monthly benefit. they are. If you're a SSI recipient, a Social Security disability or retirement recipient, your payments are safe. You will continue to receive those benefits. If you have a Social Security hearing scheduled, it may be held by phone or some type of virtual platform. I have one scheduled next month at the Social Security office, and my client has been waiting on this for the past 24 months. So we are going to do everything possible to have that hearing next month, whether we have to do it by phone, by Zoom, whatever we need to do to get that hearing held. Another big warning for Social Security recipients: beware of scams. You know, the Social Security office will only call you to reschedule appointments. They will not call you and ask you for your Social Security number. They will not call and ask you for your bank account information. Most of that communication is done by mail. You get those little folded letters. That's how they contact you. So if someone is calling you asking for that private information, hang up. Do not give out that information. We've seen an increase in the scams, unfortunately, especially with the stimulus payment. And it's really a shame that people are trying to scam vulnerable people in this time, this unprecedented time. If you have questions about your Social Security case, I have a number listed there to call. That's a great resource. And also you can go online and create your own account on socialsecurity.gov. I've listed the website there. It is a great resource to put in there and have the account. You can get your award letter, you can get your payment information, you can calculate retirement age, and it's really a good source to have. And especially in the time where the offices are closed, you can go on there and hopefully obtain answers to your questions online. How can I receive assistance with Kentucky Legal Aid? Our offices are currently closed, as I mentioned earlier, to in-person traffic, but we are working hard behind the scenes with virtual and telephonic appointments. We have a great website and specifically to address the COVID-19 effects on the court systems, on benefits, and we try to update that as soon as we receive insight from the state of Kentucky and the federal government. We update our website. But there's great tools on there, great resources, and that is www.klaid.org. If you want more general assistance for your specific questions, then you would contact our intake department, and that number is listed there. It's 1-866-452-9243, and that is the starting point for any of our services at the local office, or really any of our offices in the Western Kentucky area. We have attorneys available there to take your call Monday through Thursday from 8:30 a.m. until 6 p.m. And if it's something that we at the local office can assist you with, they will schedule you with a local advocate and receive services by phone or by Zoom. We do virtual notarization now. We have approval for that. So we have really taken the initiative to address this COVID-19 and the legal problems that come with it, and to be proactive about it, because we are here to help the community and to our clients and really anyone that is in need in this difficult time. So that will get things going and get assistance with me or the other two attorneys there at the local office. The local office is located in the Century Building at 100 Fountain Avenue, Suite 317. And right now I'd like to open it up if we have any questions. I think there were 2 questions that someone may have had. Well, let me see. Okay, what legal questions are you dealing with right now? I think the biggest question that I receive frequently is the visitation. You know, parents are scared of letting their child go to the other parent because they don't know if they're quarantined, if they are, in essence, practicing social distancing and staying home. So they're really afraid of that. And me as a parent, I can relate to that. But if you have a court order for visitation, you need to try to comply with that, or at least work with the other parent and say, hey, let's suspend your visit right now, but as soon as the quarantine is lifted, then you could have that additional time at the end. And most of the time it works out, but unfortunately we have some stubborn adverse parties that it doesn't always work well with. So we are still addressing that, but that is the most frequent question I've received. And also the stimulus payment check for the dependent children or child, how the parents are splitting that. One parent thinks they're entitled to all of it. I recommend if they're both financially contributing, then they equally divide the $500, but you know, some people don't always agree with that. Let me see. Another question, those on disability, do they receive stimulus funds? Yes. Individuals that are on supplemental security income or SSI or Social Security disability and Social Security retirement, they are all entitled to the $1,200 stimulus payment as long as they're a qualifying adult. So they have a Social Security number. And most of the time, what the IRS is directing is that they will do the direct deposit with the information that they have from their benefit. So if their benefit, their monthly Social Security benefit is put in their bank account by direct deposit every month, then they should receive that $1,200 stimulus payment in that same direct deposit. But those payments with individuals on Social Security and SSI, those are going to be distributed sometime next month. And it's a shame because I know those people are the more vulnerable population and probably need it more than others. But unfortunately, that's the way they have it set out. SSI recipients and Social Security recipients will receive that next month. Hopefully it will be early May and not toward the end, but that's the guidance that we have received right now. So if you haven't received your stimulus payment, be patient. Hopefully you will receive that soon. If you do not receive it by the end of May, I would contact the IRS or the legal aid, and we can give you some specific advice on that and give you some direction. Another question, are you receiving a rise on calls for assistance due to COVID? More stress, worries from the community? Oh, definitely. I think everyone is feeling the stress associated with COVID-19. Cabin fever from staying home. I know it's nice to stay home with the family, but after a month, it can get very stressful, especially when you're homeschooling small children and even teenagers. So it can be very stressful. And then the fact that people have lost their jobs, you know, that has been a big stressor. Daycares are closed, restaurants are closing down. You know, we have a lot of calls with unemployment questions. You know, why haven't I received my benefit? There's one individual that I know, it's going on 5 weeks and they haven't received an unemployment check. You know, and that money is there to help these people. But if the money is not getting to those individuals, then that's a big stressor. Thankfully, the governor is hiring more people to address this. So hopefully the process will move quicker. but I think last week they had over 200,000 calls to the call center, and that's a very high volume. So hopefully things will be streamlined and benefits will be distributed as soon as possible. You know, it's a very difficult time, but what I've heard, and it's some very good advice, is to take care of yourself. Try not to let that stress affect you. I know it's difficult, but try to enjoy your time with your family, your time off work if possible, and let the professionals, let Kentucky Legal Aid help with your legal issues and hopefully guide you in the right direction to get the most out of this difficult time. Another question about domestic violence. You know, that is one of the emergency or time-sensitive matters that the court is addressing at this time. You can still file a domestic violence petition seeking a protective order. You can call the local law enforcement in your area and they will assist you with filing for a protective order. And also the Merriman House, the Domestic Violence Crisis Center, is still open. The campus is closed to visitors, but they have advocates there working behind the scenes and they can assist you in filing for that protection. Kentucky Legal Aid also has resources to help you with those hearings. We assist petitioners, sometimes respondents, but mainly petitioners, with protective order hearings in this area. And we assist petitioners regardless of income on those type of matters. It is very important to us that survivor victims receive assistance in obtaining the protection and to prevent future acts of domestic violence by obtaining a domestic violence order. So we are here to help you with that also. Lotus is also open, formerly known as the Purchase Area Sexual Assault Center. They are working hard to assist survivors, victims of sexual assault, and provide services there. So they are open. You can contact them. The Merriman House, Lotus, Kentucky Legal Aid, those three entities have worked together very well to provide assistance, and COVID-19 is not going to stop us from providing that assistance to the people in need. So the courts are still handling those matters, and if you feel like you need that assistance, please give us a call. Please give us a call. Please give the Merriman House a call. Please give Lotus a call. You know, reach out and get assistance. Statistics I've seen, domestic violence filings are down, but unfortunately domestic violence homicides are on the rise. So please do not stay in that situation. If you feel like you need help, reach out. We are here to help at Kentucky Legal Aid, and we can point you in the right direction to get those resources. Let's see if we have any other questions.
Anyone have any questions for Catherine while she's around? If not, we want to thank you, Catherine, so much for a wonderful presentation, chock full of great information. We appreciate so much legal aid in our community and all the things it does for us.
Great,
the next McLib presentation we have coming up, McLib Live, that's a tongue twister, will be on May the 6th, and we'll be working with Kathy Wimberly from University of Kentucky Home Extension. She's going to be talking about home veggie gardens, so you don't want to miss that. Thank you so much for joining us today. And as Catherine said, if you have any questions, please reach out to her at Kentucky Legal Aid. That great staff would be glad to help. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Stay safe and stay well.
Thanks, Catherine.